So, what happened to all the other art that you did from the movie? Does that go in the vault, or do you get to keep that at all? Or
Uh, yeah, all the artwork I've done for films is property of the studio.
hmm
So that's something, again, something that was hard to get used to, because in comics all the artwork comes back to you. Doing drawings, and certainly on Blade, actually on Hellboy, I did some really nice drawings. Nothing, finished like my comic stuff, but some really cool drawings. And then I would go to conventions when we were promoting Hellboy. Go to conventions, and whoever the studio person, we're doing a panel or something, and the studio person would ask the audience questions like, what color is Hellboy? And somebody would say, he's red, and they would give him one of my production drawings.
Oh, geez, that's crazy.
That was a rough that was rough to watch. And I've heard various stories about where the artwork went, and apparently a lot of the stuff on Blade 2 was just thrown away. So, yeah, that's one more reason that I kind of prefer being home in my studio drawing comics.
Yeah, I see your point. Um, Now, when you were doing this whole movie deal and everything, what was your initial reaction and any concerns? What was that phone call like, or what was that meeting like when they said, you know what, we're interested in, Del Toro's telling you that he wants to make your film, your Hellboy.
It was, it's funny because it was such a long process. I was very fortunate to get in with Dark Horse at a time when I still retained the film rights. So, nowadays, publishers are grabbing those film rights right away. But I'm sure they thought nothing would ever happen with it. I don't know. Whatever the deal was, I had the film rights. Dark Horse came to me and said, we're interested in doing it as a picture, or trying to get it made as a picture. So they optioned it for me, and I just thought, this will be a great scam. How many years can I get somebody to renew the option on this thing? Because nobody's ever going to make it. And that went on for a while, and nothing happened. And then Del Toro saw something online that somebody was trying to do a Hellboy picture, and Del Toro attached himself to it. Del Toro came to Dark Horse and said, I want to do this. And I met with him, and we got on great. I mean, just from the minute we met, we got along great. The very first thing we sat down and talked about was who should play Hellboy. We both said Ron Perlman at the same time, so after that it was just breeze. I still never believed they'd make the movie, and it was about, from that first meeting till the time cameras rolled, it was, I think, about 6 years. After that long, after a while, I stopped reading the different drafts of the screenplay. They just stacked up in the corner of the studio because there was, it was so clear nobody was going to make it. But Del Toro was fighting to do this thing, and he wanted to do it right. He wanted to do it with Ron. And eventually he went and did Blade 2. And part of doing Blade 2 was to have under his belt a big action picture. So he could do Hellboy. And I remember he called me the night Blade 2 opened. And it opened number 1. And he said, if they don't greenlight Hellboy now, they never will. Mm-hmm. And it was weird because I was like, oh no, you mean they might not make it? I'd been saying up to that moment, they'll never make this movie. And suddenly I'm having this weird moment where I'm going, oh no, they might not make the movie. Because somehow in that 6 years, he kind of snuck into my brain, wow, this guy's really going to find a way to do this. Within a couple days, he had a deal to do Hellboy 2. To do Hellboy. So, it was weird.
So once you got that...
But yeah, there is no like weird, great moment. It's such a long, drawn out process. Even I said for years, I'll believe they're doing it when I walk on a set and there's Ron in makeup, but I'm not gonna believe it till then. And I remember being on the plane flying to Prague, going, "Hey, that's tomorrow." and when I got there, and I did see Ron in makeup, it was like, oh, hi, Ron, how you doing? Because we'd been in contact so long, the process had gone on so long that it was normal. The weird thing about that stuff is how normal it gets after a while. The one thing that was weird, and when I came from the airport, the day I got on set, Ron wasn't shooting, but it was a scene with John Hurt. And so I came from the airport, dropped my crap off at the hotel, went straight to the set, and the first thing I see are the director's chairs with the Hellboy logo on them. So that was weird. I'd never seen those before. And there's my name. That was really weird. And then the first guy I see is John Hurt, looking just like the character in the comic. And, John Hurt is somebody, that he was, the guy in Alien and Elephant Man. I'm a big John Hurt fan. So to see that guy made up to look like something I remember drawing, that's probably the one weirdest, we're not in Kansas anymore kind of moment.
Huh. It's interesting that you use the word weird when most people would be like, that was the most amazing moment. But I get a sense that, oh, go ahead.
No, it's probably my personality more. It's it's great. I don't want to downplay it because it certainly wasn't bad. It's just I just think it was just so much something I never expected. I never expected there to be a movie. It wasn't my goal to have Hellboy turned into a movie. So all the stuff I've done outside of drawing comics is kind of a weird, kind of happy accident. It's been a really interesting ride, and I've ended up in a lot of weird places, like, Prague on a Hellboy movie, or even, when I was up at Disney. I never expected to do these things, so it's just been a really kind of fun, strange experience.
Like a fun ride, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, when you were saying that you used to have a lot of spelling mistakes, I'm the same way, but, at that time, did you ever think that you'd be a writer?
Well, by then, when I did The Corpse, I was a writer. I don't know that I was a good writer, but I was the writer. It was never my goal to be a writer.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when I came up with the idea for Hellboy, I had kind of a laundry list of things I wanted to draw, but I didn't know how to construct a story. So, and I'm deathly afraid of embarrassing myself. So I latched on to John Byrne because we had done a couple projects together, and we had a really comfortable working experience. Mm-hmm. And I got a hold of John and said, "Listen, I've got this thing I want to do, and I've got this character, and it's this kind of subject matter. Would you write it for me? Or with me?" I was thinking I would kind of co-plot something, and my idea was I would just give him a list of stuff I wanted to draw, maybe one or two scenes, and then just a bunch of stuff I wanted to draw, and he would cobble that stuff together into a story. But in the time between when we first talked about it and I actually had to draw the first issue, I guess I'd spent enough time talking about it and thinking about it, and I discovered like a journal I kept during that time, mm-hmm. with a billion different ideas, and I read through it. I don't understand half of what I'm talking about, but little by little, all those ideas did kind of cobble themselves together into a story. So there was never a stage where I said to John, "Okay, write me a story." By the time we worked together, I had a plot. I drew the comic, and then the only way to tell John what was going on was then to more or less script the comic. So John's job was to take my script and make it, clean it up, make it better, flesh it out, that kind of stuff. And it was great, and I never could have done the book without him. I would have been too intimidated by the idea of just writing my own stuff. But over the course of doing that comic,